Quest Security Guardian provides you with the ability to easily view and identify vulnerabilities within your Active Directory environment. The Security Guardian hybrid agent collects data on your Active Directory environment, which is then sent to Security Guardian. This data is assessed against a set of known vulnerabilities for Active Directory and presented in the Security Guardian console. Let's take a look at how these vulnerabilities are identified. Security Guardian uses the concept of assessments and discoveries to group vulnerabilities. Assessments contain one or more discoveries that are evaluated against collected data to identify vulnerabilities in your organization's Active Directory domain. Information displayed in the Security Assessments dashboard is created based on information collected by the Security Guardian hybrid agent. The hybrid agent collects information on Active Directory objects such as users, groups, computers, and domains to compare against the discoveries and assessments within Security Guardian. It is important to note that Security Guardian and the hybrid agent do not collect or store Active Directory object passwords. Out of the box, Security Guardian includes a built-in assessment named Active Directory Security Assessment. It contains all predefined discoveries provided by Quest and is run on all domains configured in on-demand for your organization. This allows you to automatically start identifying which Active Directory objects contain vulnerabilities that require further investigation and remediation. Assessments are run automatically when Security Guardian is first set up and then on a scheduled basis. The All Assessments tab displays a list of all assessments, both built-in and user-created, for your organization, along with the following information for each: the assessment name with a link to assessment details, the Active Directory domain containing the assessed objects, along with the option to link to results, and the status of the assessment, which shows how many vulnerabilities have been found for each Active Directory domain in the scope of the assessment. If we take a closer look at one of the domains in the scope of this assessment, you can see more details on the results. Here we can see information such as when the domain was last assessed and when data was last collected, how many vulnerabilities were assessed against this domain, along with high-level numbers to indicate the level of exposure, a summary of the last 7 days of assessments, as well as details on the vulnerabilities found, when they were last detected, how many vulnerable objects were identified, any inconclusive results, as well as the trend over the last 7 days for each vulnerability. An inconclusive state indicates that data could not be collected for one or more objects being assessed for a non-error related reason. For example, the scope of an assessment includes Tier 0 objects, but no Tier 0 objects were found, or permissions were insufficient to collect the data. If we drill a little further into one of these vulnerabilities, let's pick Tier 0 computer accounts that have not cycled their password recently, we can see more details on the vulnerability, along with more detail on the 7-day assessment trend. On the left, you can see detailed information relating to the vulnerability, including what it was looking for, the risk, and remediation information for you to use when planning how to address this. On the right, we can see a filterable view of the trend of this assessment. If we filter out compliant objects, you can see that there was one vulnerable object on the 7th of August 2024. What this also shows is that that particular vulnerable object has since been remediated, meaning that there are now no vulnerable objects detected for this assessment. If we select another vulnerability to drill down into, you can see here that there are a number of objects still vulnerable. You're also given a list of all of those objects that you can export to CSV to take away and use as part of your remediation plan. If you decide to create your own assessment, you have the ability to either add all discoveries or to add only a subset. You can choose to have new vulnerabilities automatically added to your assessment as Quest adds these to Security Guardian. Lastly, you can choose which domains within your environment you want to have this assessment apply to. You need to have the hybrid agent collecting information for any domain that you want to have Security Guardian run the assessment against. Security Guardian contains a number of predefined discoveries that you can utilize. Discoveries are collections of vulnerabilities that are evaluated by Security Guardian assessments to logically group vulnerabilities found in your Active Directory environment. Security Guardian comes with the following predefined discoveries: credential access. These are techniques deployed by adversaries on systems and networks to steal usernames and credentials for reuse. Defense evasion. These are techniques used by adversaries to avoid detection. Evasion techniques include hiding malicious code within trusted processes and folders, encrypting or obfuscating adversary code, or disabling security software. Discovery. These are techniques used by adversaries to obtain information about systems and networks that they're looking to exploit or use for their tactical advantage. Initial access. These techniques are used by adversaries to obtain a foothold within a network, such as targeted spear phishing, exploiting vulnerabilities, or configuration weaknesses in a public-facing system. Lateral movement. These techniques allow adversaries to move from one system to another within a network. Persistence. These are techniques that adversaries use to keep access to systems across restarts, change credentials, and other interruptions that could cut off their access. Privilege escalation are techniques used by adversaries to gain higher level privileges on a system, such as local administrator or root. And lastly, reconnaissance. These techniques are used by adversaries to gain a thorough understanding and complete mapping of your environment for later use. If we drill deeper into one of these discoveries, we can see more detail on each of the vulnerabilities within that discovery. For example, you can see here within the credential access discovery, there is a vulnerability named user password never expires. If we expand that, we can see more information that explains the risks associated with this, along with remediation information and other information relating to where the vulnerability is applied. Thanks for watching.